Yo, what is good, guys? It is your boy Persona of Gaming with Persona, your host of Mind of a Gamer podcast, your host of When Persona Speaks, and a fellow TOA member. Hashtag TOA Boys is in the building. It is Friday. It's not Wednesday. It's Friday, guys. And yeah, man, I know this is kind of out of the blue. Well, it's not out of the blue because I did announce it on Twitter the other day. Earlier in the week I did announce it, but yeah, I pushed When Persona Speaks to Saturday. I mean to Friday. Look at me. I pushed it to Friday just because Hellblade came out this week. Hellblade had came out this week, so I was really like adamant about finishing that game and getting that platinum. I did finish it. If you guys do watch the live streams, if you did check out the live streams or did check out the channel, or if you've seen, my post on Twitter, I definitely got the platinum for Hellblade. Yesterday, actually, I got it. It wasn't really that hard of a platinum. It was actually easy as hell. The only thing that would be I wouldn't say necessarily a challenge, but what would be a little bit be out of the way when it comes to getting a platinum would be those lore stones, because they're pretty especially when you get further in the game, they're pretty well hidden. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them are definitely well hidden, and if you aren't looking for them, then you'll definitely miss them. And I had missed a few, not too many. I think I missed like 4 or so. And since I missed a few, I definitely went back. I had to actually start the game all over and get the rest of those. Luckily, though, the 4 that I was missing were like early enough in the game to where I could just start over, get the 4, and then be done. So that's what I did. And Wednesday, I was still like deep into Hellblade, and I really wanted to like finish that up and really play that. So that's why I kind of pushed When Persona Speaks to Friday for this week, because gaming is it's always important to play games, man. You want to make sure you're out here playing games. You don't want to just always be talking about games and never have time to play them, so I think it's always important to make sure that you get your gaming time in. Always important. Gaming comes first before the YouTube stuff, at least for me. I have no problem pushing something back if I'm really deep into a game and I want to get the game done or get the content out there for the game or whatever. But yeah, so that's why we're doing this Friday at 6:30. But yeah, man, to all the newcomers, welcome, and to all the regulars, I appreciate you guys for coming back. And like I always say, I'm just a gamer trying to share my experiences with the world. We are on episode 6 of When Persona Speaks, man. We climbing up in these episodes. We're on episode 6 of When Persona Speaks, and we're on episode 23 of Mind of a Gamer podcast. So things are definitely growing, man. Slowly but surely, we are growing, and we are slowly getting this content out here. Slowly but surely, the content is getting pumped out here, man. And it's always a good thing. It's always a good thing. So yeah. Before we jump into what we're going to talk about today, let me let you guys know what I've been playing throughout the week. So this week has been pretty beefy week, actually. A lot of releases came out this week. Icy, Lawbreakers, Hellblade. I played Hellblade. I played a little bit of Lawbreakers. I didn't play as much as I wanted to. Sorry, I didn't play as much as I wanted to, just because I was so heavy into Hellblade. So I definitely said I was going to use this weekend to really dive into Lawbreakers as much, as deep as I want to go. Obviously, Uncharted. I played some Uncharted early in the beginning of the week, and believe it or not, man, I've been playing Mafia 3 lately. I always pass by the game when I'm searching for games that I'm trying to play or games that I'm trying to finish. And that's one of the games that I need to finish. And I haven't finished it yet because I don't know. I don't even know why I haven't finished it yet. Now I'm thinking about it. Like I'm sitting and I'm thinking and I'm like, the game isn't that long where it's like, I can't finish it. It's just I want to go for the platinum, and I hate that I have to do the 2 playthroughs. So that's what kind of like pissed me off and kind of made me, push the game back a little bit. Not too much, but I did definitely put the game off to the side. But I did pick it back up. I am playing it again. So I'm definitely playing Hellblade. I mean, Hellblade. I'm definitely playing Mafia 3. I was playing Mafia 3 this week. I'm probably gonna finish that this weekend as well. Hold up. Man, long day at work. Um, what else? Oh, yeah. So real quick, quick announcements before we jump into anything. The Injustice 2 tournament is this weekend. The Injustice 2 tournament is tomorrow at 6:45 p.m. Eastern on my channel here on Gaming with Persona. It's a 2-day tournament, so it's gonna be Saturday and Sunday. It's gonna be dope as fuck, obviously, and it's gonna be myself and my co-host is gonna be Chuck. It's gonna be real fun, real entertaining. Trust me, it's gonna be a lot of New York versus Cali jokes. Yo, Eric, what is good, my brother? Thank you for coming through to the podcast, my brother. Hope you enjoy. Yeah, so it's gonna be me and Chuck. We're gonna be hosting, and it's gonna be a lot of New York versus Cali jokes, rat jokes, dehydration jokes. It's gonna be a lot of jokes. It's gonna be very entertaining. Trust me, you guys don't want to miss that. So definitely make sure you guys check out the tournament. It's a lot of people in the tournament. We got like close to like 40 people that's gonna be in this tournament. A lot of good competition is gonna be there. You guys do not want to miss this tournament. It's gonna be very, very, very entertaining. Also, what else? You can still sign up too. Sign up. The link is in the description. So definitely, if you want to sign up, go ahead and sign up. And what else? I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The Tekken 7 tournament is also in a week. In 2 weeks. It's in 2 weeks. Yeah, I think it's like a week or two when the Tekken 7 tournament will be coming. But that's also going to be happening this month as well. The prize pot for this Injustice 2 tournament is 150. So it's going to be dope. It's going to be dope. But yeah, so yeah, let's go ahead and jump into these topics, man. It's not going to be too long, but I definitely, this is something that I've been thinking about for a couple times this week. One something that I do is I tend to, when I go on social media, obviously, when you go on social media, you look at different things that people are talking about on social media. You respond, you share, you retweet, you create any type of post or content or whatever case may be on social media to draw attention. So one thing that I've seen, and this isn't new, this is something that has been said quite a lot from a lot of different people. This isn't something that's being targeted to just one person or a specific group of people. This is a very broad and open statement, and this is a very broad and open analysis of that statement when I give my analysis of how people view these types of things. So pretty much when it comes to the gaming community, regardless, we all have our cliques. I mean, the PlayStation guys, the Sony guys, the Xbox guys, the Nintendo guys, the PC guys, we all have our little cliques and our little things that kind of separate us. But at the end of the day, we all are still a part of one community. And that community is the gaming community. As a whole, we are a gaming community. And to somebody that's on the outside looking in, they wouldn't specify, oh, well, that's a Sony guy, so he's a part of that community or something like that. They would only specify it as, just us being a part of the gaming community. And realistically, that's how it should be specified, because the only people that put separation to that is people within the gaming community, that the console war stuff, all that stuff that we see on a daily basis on social media. So with us being a part of one big community, one thing that I tend to see a lot of in the gaming community is you see people that say the gaming community is toxic, and like, oh, what do you mean toxic? And when you really think about it, in some instances, the gaming community is toxic, because there are people out there that do spread lies, that do spread misinformation. There are a good portion of people that, when they create any type of content, it isn't built around the bettering the community, so to speak. There are people out there. I want to acknowledge that before I continue, because I want people to understand that that is being acknowledged. We understand that there is certain types of toxic things within the community. But with that being said, the times what I see in the community when people complain about that, or complain that they, people will say, the community is toxic, this community is shitty, this community is whatever, blah blah blah. They always tend to say something negative, very negative about the community that they are a part of, right? And normally when people do this, I tend to look at what they do within the community to better the community, because a lot of times what we have in the community, outside of people that like to claim they're neutral when they're really not, you also have people that tend to use yo, Mr. Official, what's going on, brother? I appreciate you for coming through, man. What we tend to have is people that like to use it's like a setup, right? Where they'll say, oh, well, the community is so toxic, the community is so such and such. They'll down the community, right? They'll say a lot of negative things, or they'll speak to which there's a lot of negativity that surrounds the gaming community, right? But then when you look at what they put out into the community, or when you look at what they do, what these people are doing to build a better community, aren't contributing anything to the betterment of the gaming community. Like a lot of people that I see, or a lot of people that I see that tend to oh yeah, I appreciate you for listening, Mr. Official. Whenever you can, bro, I definitely appreciate it, man. No doubt. Big shout out to Mr. Official. That's the big bro right there. My co-host of Mind of a Gamer. It's all love, brother. Appreciate you coming through and listening. So, a lot of times when you look at what some of these people put out into the community, and it's not necessarily on YouTube, it's just period. Period. What people put out in the community that always complain that the community is so toxic, what they're putting out necessarily isn't helpful to the advancement or the betterment of the community to begin with. You have a lot of people that will point out the negatives of somebody else within the community. That, oh yeah, I'll use myself. Say like somebody is talking to me and say, hey, Persona, you're very negative. You don't, you're not putting out anything good within the community. You're toxic to the community, blah blah blah. But then when you look at what they do, and when you look at what they put out into the community, it's worse than what I do. And this is just a hypothetical. This isn't a fact, obviously. I'm going to use myself as an example later on. But these people, yo, Chaz, what's good, man? Thank you for coming through, brother. These people aren't trying to make the community better. They don't set up gaming nights. They don't set up their platform that they use it to complain. They use their platform to not necessarily to build up a person, but they use it to kind of shun people. Every time you see content from somebody that complains about the community being so toxic, most of their content, or most of what they do revolves around talking about other people and how bad they are to the community. You never really see a solution, and I put this on Twitter today. I put, be the change that you want to see. Be the change that you want to see. Honestly, one thing that I can say about the group of people that I'm around, that I game with, that I associate with when it comes to gaming, yeah, we may all have our preferences when it comes to the consoles that we have. When it comes to the consoles and the consoles that we have, but at the end of the day, everybody that I roll with, and I'm using myself as an example, and the people that I'm around, because I can only use myself as an example to give you an idea of what the right thing to do within bettering the community is. Like I'll take Mr. Official for instance. Mr. Official, he does open lobby live stream nights on Blaze Blue. Me and him also do open lobbies for Uncharted. People are always down to come. Somebody comes in the stream, but hey man, I want to play. I'd add you up, let's play. We do and then also with the online arcade, and what we do with the online arcade, the vision with the online arcade is to bring the community together through friendly competition in fighting games. Who doesn't like fighting games? Who, even people that aren't good at fighting games, can still play fighting games. You feel me? Like it's all about having fun. It's all about bringing the community together. You feel me? That's the vision, and that's the goal. As much as we all, we talk our fanboy shit or whatever the case may be, when it comes to our preferences, there's still we're still doing things in the community to better the community. You feel me? I know Broadband Bullies. That's David's group from Bang Bang. Shout out to him, and I think Zaire is a part of that too, if I'm not mistaken. Those are Xbox guys, but those are guys that they game all the time. They have gaming competitions. They playing games. They doing shit with the community. They doing shit for the community. Shit like that I can get behind and support. Shit like the online arcade I can get behind and support. Shit like what Mr. Official does, I can get behind shit like that, because there are times where we do talk about how toxic the community is, but we also on a different level when it comes to doing shit for the community as well. Part of the problem with the people that complain about the community being so toxic is they're not doing shit to better the community. Making videos complaining about the community being so toxic, or making social media tweets and things like that complaining about the community being so toxic, that's only adding to the problem if you don't have a solution. Because when I see somebody do something like that, my next question is, what are you going to do to better the community? Oh, well, I don't give a fuck. Well, then shut the fuck up. And again, this isn't directed towards anybody, so I don't want anybody to take offense to it. It applies to whoever feels offended. I'll say that. If you feel offended by my words, then it applies to you, because you are part of the problem. If you don't feel offended, then there's no need for you to, there's no need for you to feel offended. Honestly, because I'm not trying to down anybody. I'm not trying to be negative towards anybody, because at the end of the day, what I want to see is the community be as good as it can be. Debating, I think, is very fun and healthy. That's a good thing. It's always fun to debate. There's nothing wrong with debating. I stand by that. There's nothing wrong with having debates. There's nothing wrong with, having preferences and shit like that. And again, there is toxic things in the community. I'm not disputing that there isn't. There are some people within the gaming community that are really, really, really fucked up. They are. I agree. Like when it comes to when people say that the community is toxic, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with anybody that says that the community is toxic. I don't disagree. So, make sure that's known and understood. I do not disagree with anybody that feels that the community, Mr. Fisher, that's cool. Thank you for coming through. I do not disagree with anybody that feels that the community is toxic. I agree. There are certain aspects of the community that is toxic. But again, my next question is, what are you doing to better the community? What are you doing to make the community better? We all can do something to make the community better. All of us. Even if you think or feel, oh, well, what I do may not matter. Yo, the shit matters, man. I'm not a big channel. I'm not a huge channel. I'm not. I'm a very, very small channel. I'm still trying to grow. You feel me? But I still stream. I still put out my gaming content. I still put out my commentary content, obviously. I still put out, we do the tournaments on my channel. We do tournaments on Barry's channel. We do tournaments on Mr. Fisher's channel. We do tournaments on Chuck's channel. We do gaming nights. We do game challenges. Check my channel. Check my channel, man. My channel has, I just had a game challenge last week against the Platform Live. Shout out to them. My channel isn't big. My voice isn't reaching 1 million people. You feel me? My voice is still very small within the community. It still is. But at the end of the day, as a gamer and as somebody that wants to see the gaming community be better and be as good as it can be, I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to do what I enjoy, which is play games. And I'm going to share my experiences with y'all because that's what I want to do. And also share my opinions, obviously. Share my opinions and share my experiences. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do on my channel. That's what I want to do when it comes to putting content and putting stuff within the community to make the community better. I want to bring the community together. I'm all for that. I'm all for playing games with other people. I'm all for, spreading the joy of games. I'm all for that. I'm all for the debates too, though. I'm all for the disagreements. I'm all for that as well, because again, I feel debating and having constructive criticism, having debates on things that people disagree with and things like that. I feel that those things within the community are very healthy for the community. And it's also entertaining. It's entertaining to see two intellectuals go at it on their preference when it comes to games. I'm all for that. I love seeing shit like that. When it starts getting into the toxic side is, when you start seeing threats and misinformation and lies and all this crazy shit that you start seeing. And then when you start seeing, the other side of it where people are creating, content complaining about the issue, but not doing anything to fix it. That's also part of a problem too, because if you have 100 people complaining about an issue, but nobody trying to come up with ideas to fix the issue, where is the progress? Where's the progression? You're stagnant. Yo, T Mang, what is good, my brother? Thank you for coming through, man. I thank you for coming through, brother. You become stagnant. And I think that's where we're at right now when it comes to the gaming community. We're very stagnant right now. We're very stagnant because there's a lot of people that want things to change. There are a lot of people that are tired of things that are happening within the gaming community, but nobody is trying to do anything to better it. What are you doing? That is my question. That's my question to anybody that complains. What are you doing to make it better? I want to make it better. Do you? And then, you'll have that other side of people that are like, oh, well, Persona, I don't give a fuck that much. Who cares about this shit? It's just games. Then shut the fuck up about constantly saying it. That's how I feel. It is just games at the end of the day. This isn't real. None of this is real life shit. None of this. At the end of the day, when I cut off my computer or when I end this podcast, anybody that listens, they go on about their day in their life. When I end it, I go on about my day in my life. It's not like, I'm up in the middle of the night, going crazy off this shit. No, not at all. Not at all. Nothing is as serious as people make it out to seem. And even right now, when me talking about what I'm talking about, is it life threatening? No. No, this is first world problems. This is first world shit. Complaining about the gaming community or trying to get the gaming community to, better themselves. That's first world shit. That's not, this shit doesn't have any bearings on if you're gonna make bread or not, if you're gonna be able to pay your bills. And no, look, it's never that serious. And this is coming from me. It's never that serious. Ever. But at the same time, when you love gaming, when you love to play games, when you love to play online, when you involved in social media, when you involved with talking games with different people from around the world and all these different things, and you constantly hear and see the same things when it comes to people saying the community is toxic and all these different things, you kind of have to say, like, at one point or another, you have to kind of like step back and say, like, yo, like, I'm always saying that the gaming community is so toxic, but I wonder what I can do to make it better. At one point or another, you have to step back and say that, because if you don't, then it just becomes you being a broken record. It becomes bullshit after a while, or it becomes a lie. Because like, is the gaming community that toxic to where you constantly say it but you don't do anything about it? Is it? Shit is crazy. But that's what people do. People will say the same thing every day but won't do anything about it. And this isn't just gaming, this is everyday life shit. I believe that people take some of these character traits that some people hold or display on social media. I do believe that they use the same type of character traits in real life. Because I can't wake up every day and complain about the same thing and not do something about it. I can't. That's just not who I am. And obviously, we all are very different people. All of us are very different. We all come from very different walks of life. We all, look, man, we're not all the same people. You know, so I'm not trying to say that, you know, everybody needs to be a robot. No. You know, us being different is what makes us unique. And that's what makes the gaming community so amazing, because we all are so different, you know, from the most positive guy all the way down to the most negative guy. Because believe it or not, that negative guy that's down there, he also creates content that creates discussion. Because say he says some shit and it's a lie, you know, that can be a discussion and that can bring awareness to whatever, you know. So, you know, everybody being different and everybody being who they are, it's always good. Honestly, it is. But the type of person that I am, I'm not going to complain every single day about the gaming community being toxic and not try to do anything to put positivity, positive vibes, or positive anything back into the community. I can't. I can't do that. That's just not who I am. And I'm pretty sure for a lot of gamers out there that, you know, are a part of social media and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure you don't want to be a part of something like that either, and it be toxic. I don't know. That was something I was thinking about this week, and I put the tweet up today, and I was just like, you know, gaming community is so toxic, but what are you doing to fix it? Or what are you doing to make it better? What do you do? I don't know. But yeah, that's something to think about, guys. It's definitely something to think about. For anybody that may listen later, that's something to think about. And to anybody that may listen later, or somebody that's listening now, this isn't, you know, this isn't me trying to down anybody. You know, that's not what Persona is here for. That's not what Persona is trying to do. That's not my vibe. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm a very positive person. I try to put positivity out there with my podcast that I do on Saturdays. It's a very positive environment with myself, Mr. Official, and Demi. We you know, we laugh, we make jokes, and you know, we do our little fanboy shit from time to time, but it's all part of our energy and our chemistry. That's how we are. And it's funny. It's never anything so negative to where it's like, oh my God, like this is so toxic. Nah, it's always fun. It's always fun. It's always laughs. It's harmless jokes, you know. And that's what I'm about. That's what the channel's about. You know, that's what I'm trying to. That's what Persona's trying to do. within the community. You know, we do the tournaments. We got a tournament happening tomorrow. We got giveaways. We got prize pots and all this other crazy stuff. It's a lot of good shit happening. A lot of good shit that I do, that Mr. Official does, that Bari, Chuck. There's a lot of people that I follow on Twitter. They do a lot of good shit for the community. You know, those are the type of people I follow, and those are the type of people that, you know, I support, because I support anybody that's trying to make the community a better community for everybody, always. And that's who I support. But yeah, again, that is something for you guys to think about. And let's move on. So this week has been a very, very interesting week when it comes to game releases, because we've had two amazing games release this week. Well, yeah, I'll say amazing. Yeah, I'll say amazing. We had two amazing games released this week. One of them was Hellblade for 30, and the other one was Lawbreakers, which was also 30. So you pretty much got two games for $30, which equals 60. Two games for 60, brand new titles, pretty much AAA quality, independent AAA quality. And one thing that I remember a lot of people saying was single player games shouldn't be $60 because there's not enough replay value there. And this was a while ago. This is something I saw in Bang Bang like a while ago, whatever. But you know, that's something that, you know, I tend to see certain people say, you know, oh, single player games shouldn't be 60, or, you know, they'll say, oh, this game isn't worth $60. Wait to buy, don't buy it right now. Like, I always see those type of like videos or articles and stuff like that. You always see that, like, you know, you can look anywhere on social media and see like, oh, should you buy, rent, should you wait, should you buy, all that stuff. And that was getting me to think, because, you know, there was a few people that, you know, I spoke to, and they said that they were going to wait for Hellblade to be on sale before picking up the game. And that kind of just had me thinking, because I'm like, you know, first people say that, you know, single player games shouldn't be $60. Okay, fine. So here we have a single player title that's 30. That's half the price. That's half. AAA quality single player game, about 8 to 10 hours to beat for $30. And I'm using Hellblade for the example. That's not necessarily a bad deal, honestly. I think that's actually a good deal. I think it's worth it. And after playing Hellblade, I most definitely would have paid $60 for this title because it was worth it. But then I began to think, and I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, how we as gamers measure worth is very, very different. Everybody measures worth differently when it comes to games. I know some people that measure the worth of a game based off if the game has multiplayer, because multiplayer adds replay value. And 9 times out of 10, most games with multiplayer don't get a whole lot of play outside of like that first couple of weeks. So it's like, is it really worth the 60? And then you have other type of gamers that, you know, they think $60 is just fine for a game if it has multiplayer or not. You know, $60 is cool. Like me personally, I feel, you know, $60 for a single player game, I don't see an issue with that when it comes to certain titles, because a lot of people look at the gameplay, and you're supposed to measure the gameplay. You're like looking at the gameplay. You also, you know, gameplay is very important when it comes to the games, but you also have to look at the experience that the game is providing you as well. I'll use Hellblade for instance. I know a few people, they said that they didn't like Hellblade, or they didn't think Hellblade was worth buying right now because there wasn't enough fight scenes in the game. With Hellblade is a title where, first off, I feel there was just enough fighting in the game. I felt like the amount of fighting that was in the game was good. Now, the thing about Hellblade is a story-driven game. You can't tell a story if you always fighting. You feel me? If you always fighting, you can't tell a story. Like, you cannot tell any type of story. That's one. Two, Hellblade surrounds it brings awareness and things like that to psychosis, schizophrenia, and things like that. The purpose of Hellblade, yes, is to play the game. And when I say play the game, I mean, fighting and stuff like that. That's one part of the game. But with Hellblade, it's also about going into the mind of somebody that has these type of mental illnesses, so that you can experience and understand what these people go through. And they even tell you, like, as soon as you start at the game, it says to put on headphones, because honestly, you can't play Hellblade without headphones, because the voices that are talking, it's very immersive, and it really makes you feel like you are Senua. And with playing Hellblade, I honestly think Ninja Theory would have got away with charging 60, because I would have, that 60 would have been worth it for me. With the experience that I got from Hellblade, it definitely, that was, you got a $30 title that should have been 60. Personally, graphically, it was amazing. The combat was cool. The storytelling and the immersion and the experience that Hellblade provided, it definitely was worth the 30. And honestly, I would have paid 60 for it as well. But again, when you ask somebody else, they may say, "Oh, well, it's not worth it to spend 30 or 60 for that matter on a game like this, because it doesn't have enough fighting in the game." So that's why I say that when gamers measure worth, the criteria that people use to measure worth is very different. So when I see somebody that says, something isn't worth it, and a lot of the times they're talking multiplayer and things like that, I don't think any single player game is going to be worth it to a lot of people that are multiplayer centric, because single player doesn't really provide a lot of replay value. So worth is a very touchy and very broad. It's like a broad topic, because you ever heard the saying, like, one man's trash is another man's treasure? You kind of can kind of apply that here, because what I think is worth having, somebody else may not think so. So worth is very different with gamers. But even saying that, right, even acknowledging and understanding that worth, when it comes to worth for different gamers, it's measured differently. Even saying and acknowledging that, I still feel certain games people should still play. I feel there are certain games people have to play. And this is my opinion. Obviously, this isn't, I'm not trying to speak for everybody. I'm only speaking for myself, only persona. I feel there are certain games that certain gamers have to play, just because gameplay and experiences are two very different things. They are two very, very, very different things. When it comes to the gameplay, you play the game, the gameplay that the game provides, you get an enjoyment out of that. And yes, that is an experience. But when it comes to the storytelling of a game, and the game being able to pull you in and make you like think, feel, wonder, whatever the fucking case may be, that experience I feel is different from what either a multiplayer game or what just the gameplay in itself can provide. Gameplay, again, is very, very important, but I feel story and the storytelling should be just as important when it comes to single player games, because you have to know what's going on, and you can't know what's going on if you're always fighting. If there's always action in the game, you can't know what's going on. It's impossible. It's impossible. Imagine, imagine playing a game and they telling you the story while like imagine you fighting like a whole bunch of enemies and they telling you the story as you fighting all the enemies and you trying to focus on fighting the enemies and blocking and dodging and all this other shit. Look, man, you ain't gonna capture nothing when it comes to story if you doing that. Hell no. Hell no. So if there was more fighting than it was storytelling in Hellblade, the next argument or the next critique would have been, oh well, the story sucked. It's like, what? I don't know, man. Worth is, when it comes to Worth, man, it's very different. It's very different. I don't know. Either way, I think Hellblade was worth it. I think Lawbreakers was worth it. I think a lot of games. I think the only games that I feel wasn't worth having. Shit, I'm trying to think. Oh, it was this one game that I picked up called Soul. What's it called? Soul Brain. Yeah, Soul Brain. That was the indie title. It was what I think it was like $20 when it first came out. Yo, man, that shit was horrible, story wise and gameplay. Like that shit was just bad, and you know that was definitely something that's not worth having. But you know, to somebody else, they may like that, and it may have been worth it. So you know, measuring worth is very different. It's a very different thing. It is. But yeah, that's measured worth. Oh man. Yeah, that's all I really want to talk about today. Nothing too crazy. Next week will definitely be a bit more put together when it comes to episode 7. This week has just been, you know, I was really preoccupied with Hellblade, so I was like, really, that's like all I was really hype about and doing. But next week will definitely be put back together on Wednesdays, of course. But yeah, man, it's your boy Persona. Oh, yo, don't forget, Mind of a Gamer is tomorrow. Mind of a Gamer episode 23. Is it 23? Yeah, Mind of a Gamer episode 23 is tomorrow. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be really entertaining. A lot of good content we're gonna be talking about tomorrow. A lot of topics and stuff like that. What else? I'm trying to think. What else? Oh, yo, so, like I said earlier, Saturday night, 6:45 p.m. is the start of the Injustice 2 tournament. It's going to be a 2-day tournament. Do not miss that. That's going to be very cool, very entertaining, very fun. It's going to be myself and Upchuck. It's going to be real fun, real dope. What else? When Persona Speaks, episode 7, obviously, will be next week, Wednesday, back to our regular day, regular time, and all that good stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I may have a special guest on next week. I was contemplating doing like a special episode and bring a special guest on. I don't know. We'll see. What else? Oh, yo, Hellblade spoiler cast will definitely be next week as well. Well, I won't say definitely, but I'm pushing for next week. I'm trying to get a couple people for that. So if you do want to be a part of the Hellblade spoiler cast, let me know. Just let me know, and obviously I'll put it together and we'll do that. And yeah, man, that's pretty much it, man. It's your boy Persona of Gaming with Persona, your host of Mind of a Gamer, your host of When Persona Speaks, and fellow TOA member. And I thank everybody that came through. T-Mang, Mr. Official, Chaz. Thank you guys, Eric, all you guys that came through, man. Thank you guys for coming through. And yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe. And like I always say, I'm just a gamer trying to share my experiences with the world. And I'll holler at y'all. Peace.